Thanks for joining me once again on Inside Athletics, brought to you by the IAAF. I'm your host, Atto Bolden, and this week, part 2 of our conversation with world record holder, Olympic champion, and track and field legend, Kevin Young. But you talked about clipping hurdles. You smashed the 10th barrier. I remember you hit the 10th barrier, put your hand in the air. So the world record's 46.78, and nobody's been within 0.3 of a second of it. What could that record be if you don't hit hurdle 10?
47.5, I would say. 46.5, 46.5. And I would say if I had a clean race, the most interesting, one of the most interesting things that happened as those days had kind of went through was I actually felt that the faster race I probably would have ran would have been that opening round. I remember running 48.76 in the opening round and shutting down
early
at 300 meters. Literally just a nice aggressive jog, finishing up the last 2 hurdles. And the juxtaposition of the numbers was pretty ironic. The fact that the 48.76 when I ran in the first round, I ended up running 46.78 in the final round. However, just the fact of being on the track, great training, and really having a game plan. I think it was really, I understood the fact that after running an 88 and not really running with a game plan, just kind of hit and miss, neophyte when it comes to being an Olympian, just kind of, the lights and the shine of being there, the hype of it just threw me off. I didn't really focus like I needed to.
Olympics. All first-time Olympians have to go through that sometimes.
Exactly. And so in that last race, one thing was just being calm and collective and just executing what I would normally do on a day-to-day basis in practice.
Now, you went to the same high school as Florence Griffith Joyner, and this year we look up and it's 15 years since she passed. Tell us about some of your memories of FloJo.
Great memories. My very first memory was when I was in high school at our awards banquet, and I was just coming around the corner being a Letterman athlete at Jordan High School, and she shows up to our athletic banquet and she's sitting there on the dais and she's talking and she's encouraging me then. I had no idea that, I would say 6 years later, actually 2 years later, I would be watching her, at the Olympic Games in '84, doing her thing, and then that fall, seeing one of my Olympic heroes participate, and now I'm on the same track as she was, telling me, you got what it takes to be an Olympian, being that walk-on, and her saying, Kevin, don't worry about it. I know, because everybody knew my story, because I was,
you were a walk-on.
I was the walk-on, and you know how it is. You're walking on a team. No respect whatsoever, and you want to be able to go to the equipment room and get those socks, to get that T-shirt, to get those shorts, to get that sweatsuit, to make that traveling team, as opposed to doing all the dual meets at Azusa and Mount Sac and Long Beach and San Diego. You want to be able to get on the bird, go to the Bay Area, and fly around and do those meets. She always had great things to say about me, and I always had this connection with FloJo that I didn't even know I had. One of the simple fact, me and her little brother used to do knucklehead stuff back when I was in junior high school. I had no idea he was her little brother, Eugene, until I went to her funeral back in '98. And I'm seeing a young man that was bringing these fond memories, and I'm like, man, I know you from somewhere. And his nickname was Lucky at the time. And he was like, yeah, Lucky. Lucky, been incarcerated, got his life back together. And he was like, Kevin, Dee Dee was my big sister. And I'm like, who's Dee Dee? I didn't know.
Right.
And he told me Dee Dee was a family name. And we both of us just kind of broke down. And because I knew of the hardships growing up in Watts and dealing with it, Eugene kind of got a little carried away into it. I saw that road early on. It was like, I can't go that direction. It's too easy for me to go that direction. And I dealt with being the track and field picked on kid at Jordan High School, walk on at UCLA, and then having one of the world's greatest athletes to tell me that I got what it takes to be one of the world's best. And sure enough, I watched her exploits in '88, gave her that flag when she paraded around the track on the cover of Sports Illustrated with the big flag. And I remember the times going to her house in Mission Viejo, hanging out with her and Al, and eating pizza. I'm sitting in the living room, we ordering Domino's pizza and eating it and talking about, the younger athletes. And I really do miss those fond memories of FloJo, because it's funny because then world-class athletes, I would kind of say, rub elbows with the lower tier athlete, I guess you could say at the time. We embarked and gave other athletes all this great advice. And maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I think that seems to have been lost along the way.
Well, Kevin, your record has lasted 21 years and counting, and it doesn't seem like anybody's getting close. I want to congratulate you on your fantastic career, and thank you for joining us here on
I
Inside
appreciate it.
Athletics.
I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. This has been awesome.
All right. Our thanks to Kevin Young for joining us here on Inside Athletics. We hope you've enjoyed our chat with him. Now, on your screen, you can see how you can contact us, as usual, via Facebook, Twitter, and email. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time here on Inside Athletics.